Gotta fix myself. Sorry. Welcome to an episode of Hollywood Matrimony's Martial Arts Movie Mondays. I'm your humble host, Bobby. Lately, I know the show's been all over the place, daytime, nighttime, whatever. Trying to get back to making it during some point, but I teach so much and different schedules going on, and I keep taking more classes. We'll see what happens. But we are during the day today before I leave to go teach a class, so I fit it in. I apologize in advance. I've still got a residual cough from when I was sick a couple of weeks ago, so if I have to cough during the show, it is what it is. I'm only human, despite what most people think. If you've never seen this show before, excuse me, right off the gate. If you've never seen the show, we take a deep dive into my film collection back here. My camera's a little off center today because the dog just hit it right as we went live. So I'm sorry, it's sitting a little weird. But anyway, I usually go into a dive movie, but this time we're taking on a brand new movie that isn't even out yet. It comes out tomorrow on Blu-ray and DVD. And we are talking about the movie Warriors of the Nation. It stars Vincent Zhao. For those of you who don't know who Vincent Zhao is, he is probably, as far as I know, he is the longest running actor to take on the character Wong Fei Hung, who is a kind of he's a real guy, but he was this well-known martial artist and doctor. And there's been tons of movies about him. Probably most famous are the Once Upon a Time in China series, that I believe was 4 movies and then a TV series. Jet Li played the character in the first 2 movies. Maybe there's more than 1 movie. There might be more than 4. There may be like 7, because I want to say Jet Li played in the first 2, then returned like the 5th or something, because I think the 3rd and the 4th one is when Vincent Zhao took over as the character. But he's also played the character in obviously this movie, as playing Wong Fei Hung. He played in a movie called The Unity of Heroes, Kung Fu Alliance, which was kind of a parody that had a bunch of different characters. He also was in the Once Upon a Time in China TV series playing Wong Fei Hung. So he's kind of the epitome of playing the character. Excuse me. Obviously, this movie being new didn't really have an impact on me as a martial artist, because I just watched it today. So I'm literally finished watching it and talking to you. But what we are going to talk about is the impact of Vincent Zhao's performances in this thing, this new movie itself, basically get a review of it, and the genre, right? All of these movies come from a time of what people used to call the chopsaki flicks, Kung Fu theater on Sunday, which was a massive, massive influence for myself, many other people that got into martial arts. While I came from, there's Vader. What's happening, dog? What's up, dog? You don't even care. While I come from the generation where Jean-Claude Van Damme and Karate Kid and the Shokasuke and Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, they were the influences that got me started, where nowadays it's Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and some other stuff like that. Scott Adkins and Michael Jai White. But this genre of the kind of wushu or wuzu martial arts flicks with the wire work. One of my favorite of all time is Chinese Super Ninjas, aka 5 Element Ninjas, that we'll do an episode on one day. The problem is I no longer have a physical copy of it, and that would break the rules because someone borrowed it and never returned it. Which is why, kids, you don't lend your movies out. You don't get a collection like these by giving it to somebody else. And now I've had trouble finding that movie, so I got to track down a copy. I think I finally found one on Amazon, maybe. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But this style of film, like nowadays we get movies like The Raid that have really amped up the action, and Ip Man and things like this, where they've amped up the speed and the choreography and the details, and it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But if you look back at people like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris and some of the old Kung Fu movies, even early Jackie Chan, Legend of the Drunken Master, and 5 Element Ninjas, and Kid with the Golden Arm, and things like this, 5 Deadly Venoms, you go back to all those, the martial arts was more simplistic. It looked like martial arts that people actually learn outside, getting away from, and when I say actually learn, I don't mean that these other people aren't martial arts, because they are, but we've got a lot of people going into the tricking, which is doing the acro kicking and whatnot, which is amazing. It takes massive skill. I do a very little bit of it, but it's not the tradition aspect unless you get into some of the kung fu. And the kung fu has always been the style that was more dynamic initially. Whereas I'm predominantly Taekwondo, so we're known for our high kicks, power stances, strength, things like this. You get into judo, which is all the throws. Aikido, which is using the other person's leverage with throws and takedowns. Muay Thai was about that power of destroying the base to take down the frame. Then you had some Japanese karate that was, again, keeping the kicks low, a little more power style. Then you shifted into Kung Fu, which was about fluidity and fluid movements. And some of the styles had different animal type styles. So you used the characteristics of the animal to create different things. But it also was a style that had acro type stuff in it, whether they're kip ups or, doing a windmill into a split or whatever the case. That was kind of their thing until the tricking kind of took over and parkour and things like this started engulfing itself into the martial arts. Capoeira had its own acro style aspect as well, but that wasn't really known to a lot of people. I don't even know how far back capoeira goes, but I can tell you, in the 60s and 70s, you were seeing these kung fu movies, and that doesn't make it the oldest style. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying from cinema standpoint, the more dynamic fighting and stuff was always in the kung fu films, not so much the Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, those kind of movies. And with that came the wire work with the Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest. People they had the big wire systems and pulley systems with people. The old school wire work, if you don't know, and some of the people still shoot the films this way. It was all people pulling the cables and lowering them and shifting them. But it allowed, or it allows, because some people are still using the wire work, such as this film. It allows the impossible to become possible. So you have over the top action that is clearly not stuff anyone would ever be able to do in the way they do it, but it makes the martial artist of the film elevate more so than the average person. And that was the idea, is if you're Wong Fei Hung, the master martial artist who everybody knows who he is, he's kind of an iconic legend. He needs to be able to fly, basically. He needs to be able to fly up on his stuff and flip and spin and land and twist and do everything everywhere with very little effort, landing on something as small as like just a little piece of a stick or a little branch of a tree that's being cut into multiple pieces, and he's just back flipping on it and stuff. It gets silly, of course, but that's part of the charm. Warriors of the Nation is that kind of movie. It takes you back into that genre. It isn't one that you have to see the other variations of Zhao's Wong Fei Hung movies. It stands alone on its own, and that's kind of been a smart thing that he's done, where he did like the Unity of Heroes. It probably is closer to, this was probably closer to a sequel to Unity of Heroes, if anything, but they kind of play up on their own, so it doesn't matter if you see the rest of them. Kung Fu Alliance is a comedy, so it doesn't really connect these at all. But it's really just the connection. It's almost like the Adventures of Wong Fei Hung. If they had put that on every single one of these movies, the Adventures of Wong Fei Hung, and then just give it a new title, it'd be like James Bond. Every movie has its own title. Most of the time, they're not interconnected. Unlike the newer James Bond movies, it was just 007 and whatever that generic title is. That's kind of what this is. But it is very old school. Like right out of the gate, we're introduced to the White Lotus Society, who through a series of insane little stunts, wire work, unbelievable moments to let you know what you're walking into. And then the first big fight sequence is between the leader of the White Lotus Society and Wong Fei Hung. And once again, it jumps right into some craziness, some cool weaponry, just overall nonsense. But that's what you're looking for when you see this. You want that wire work. You want the silly fights. They're not silly from a standpoint of being bad. They're just like, come on, man, that kind of thing. But if you're a fan of this, that's going in, and that's what you're expecting, right? I knew that when I saw it was Vincent Zhao playing Wong Fei Hung. I knew what I was getting, and that's what I wanted, and this film does deliver. It's a little all over the place sometimes. Some of the other characters are a little bit silly. There's one specific character that is basically a cartoon that gets played up too much, that for every time we're watching a great fight or kind of the seriousness of the story that they're dealing with, then he gets thrown in with this little silly comical character with his big teeth and his running gag of his gun never working. Kind of takes you out of it, but excuse me, it brings you back. The fighting it's not some of the best fighting I've ever seen in these kind of movies. It's good. Vincent Zhao is always good in all his fight scenes. Some of it looked more about some of the choreography and or the way they shot it. Some of this looked just too slow. It looks like some timing was off for some of the stunt people that were doing the work, but that happens when you have that many people. It's mostly in the group fights, so when you have that many people doing stuff, you'll always notice like somebody throws a kick well after somebody ducks, so you knew there was no way you were going to even come close to hitting them. But you get over it because that's not what you're supposed to be watching. You're supposed to be watching the fact that these people are fighting. Warriors of the Nation is kind of like that. While this movie is brand new, obviously comes out tomorrow from Well USA, which, mind you, if you haven't heard me talk about Well USA, you need to check them out. They are the premier distribution for Asian cinema, predominantly in martial arts cinema. They did Ip Man 4. They've done just what was the last one I just did? Jackie Chan's last one. I now don't remember what it is. I just did a review for it a few weeks ago. But they bring a ton of awesome martial arts flicks across the board from all gamuts of different Asian countries. But they also do horror and drama and action and whatnot. It's not all just martial arts, but it's a majority of it is Asian cinema of some sort. But they do have some American releases and stuff that come out. So if you haven't checked any Well USA stuff out, check them out. They got some awesome stuff. But this is their latest release. Hits tomorrow on the 18th. It's a good little movie. If you like Vincent Zhao, you definitely want to check it out. If you've been collecting the Wong Fei Hung series of any of them that he plays in, you'll need to add this one to your collection. Obviously, it's new, so it doesn't connect to my 30 plus years in the martial arts, but the genre does, because I was obsessed with these kind of movies as a kid, knowing that so many of the things were impossible that they did in the movies. It made me force myself to do things that I thought was impossible for myself. So certain kicks or certain way I jumped or a certain way I executed something. But the biggest thing is it helped me learn to flow. Most of my fluid movements did not come from Taekwondo because they're very powerful. You know, I'll get this down. Taekwondo stuff, it's very, 1, 2, blocking here, doing these kind of movements. And watching all the old Kung Fu films, I used to use these silly drills, and I had them doing in a class the other day. But it was mimicking. It started off as a goof, but I would mimic fight scenes from these movies. Inevitably, there was always one guy that was kind of going, huh, 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 and he's fighting these other people, and it was just kind of this crazy, silly, choreographed moment. And I would play around to it, but then I started realizing it taught me to shift and move for tournaments. And instead of blocking from here, coming more here, and understanding how things flow together, it didn't have to be 1, 2, it could be 1, 2, and it took me in a different place because I paid attention to how these people moved. So the genre of these kung fu movies and the wire works and especially the 70s and 60s and 70s movies that I still watch today, they had a lasting impact on how I evolved past the standard this into these movements, and moving straight forward, chain punching, being able to take a Muay Thai elbow here and roll it into a strike here, into a block here. It kind of made me understand how to transition, and it didn't have to be 1, 2, 3. And that doesn't mean it'll have the same impact on everybody, but that's what it did for me. So that's kind of it. Because it's a newer movie, I'm not going to spend a long time on it. But Warriors of the Nation is available tomorrow, Blu-ray and DVD from Well USA. If you like these kind of martial arts flicks, check it out. It's a good little movie. Serves a great purpose. And I'm glad to see. I hope we get some more Vincent Zhao play in Wong Fei Hung, because he's great in the role. I never thought I could say somebody besides Jet Li should play a part, but he's been doing it so long. It'd be weird to see Jet Li play the part. And I'd like seeing him play it. That's all for today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the show. This show's exclusive to YouTube. We're one subscriber away from finally getting over the 3 digits into 100 mark. We've only been doing this channel for a few months, and we don't monetize anything. So basically our payment is just getting the subscribers so that we can get more giveaways and things like this for you guys. We still have a couple of giveaways happening. We're giving away a copy of White Snake, which is also from sorry, this was the G Kids. Well Go USA's animated ones come out in a couple weeks. This for G Kids and Shout Factory. It's another Asian thing. Jet Li did a movie about it. I think it was the Sorceress and the White Snake, or White Snake and the Sorceress. Anyway, but it's an animated film. It's actually not bad. We're giving away copies of this. We're also giving away, still have a few of the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn movie tickets, Fandango tickets available. And we're giving away a copy of Jojo Rabbit. It just won I believe it was the original an Oscar for adapted screenplay, over on our website at hollywoodmatrimony.com. The more you subscribe to our websites and our page, the more we get free stuff to give to you. And that's all it's about for us, is just our love of movies and giving back to people. We do this strictly for fun. This is not my job. This is just for fun. So we don't make money on it. I just get to see things a little bit early sometimes, and that's pretty much it. So don't forget, Warriors of the Nation, the latest Well Go USA movie, hitting stores everywhere tomorrow, February 18th. Be sure to grab your copy. And once again, hit our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com, our Facebook page at Hollywood Matrimony, our Twitter page at Hollywood Matter, MATR, and our Instagram, Hollywood Matrimony, and of course this lovely YouTube channel that you're watching right now, which is Hollywood Matrimony, for all your news and information and movies and trailers and reviews and whatnot, and of course giveaways and the fun stuff like that. Hit that subscribe button. If the thing shows up here, post it over here. It's a subscribe button. You can check out the trailer for Warriors of the Nation right here when it pops up here in a minute. And again, I thank you for watching the show. Be back tomorrow for another episode of TV Tuesdays, which will probably end up being a night show tomorrow because I just started another new class and we're taking my son out for his birthday. So see everybody next time. And as always, keep your hands up. Peace.